So recently I saw a question. The person asks, whenever I sit down to meditate, my thoughts are gibberish or nonsense, or they are very confusing. And he asks, why is this, and are they really my thoughts? So the first thing, this is a very good question. When you sit down to meditate, you'll find confusing thoughts running in your head, and some of these thoughts may be nonsense. Sometimes they might be very angry thoughts or hateful thoughts. Sometimes you might feel like when you're going to a dream and you're seeing weird, confusing thoughts, all that can come as well, and all this is normal during meditation. The thing to understand is that these thoughts, they're not our thoughts. The mind, it's a machine that is constantly spinning around, making thoughts. That's the mind's job. Create. It is always thinking. If it stops thinking, then the mind will die. It has to keep thinking all the time. So that's the first thing. The mind has to continuously process and think. The problem is that we think that these thoughts are ours, and we start identifying with them. The thoughts are not ours. The thoughts are running automatically in the mind. Like if you see a cloud in the sky, it just is there, right? It's just floating through the sky. It does not have anything to do with you. Same way, the thoughts running in your head have nothing to do with you. They're just flowing through your head. They're just running through your head. And sometimes your thoughts are useful. If you're doing your taxes, then your thought may be, oh, I need to add this receipt, or I need to email my accountant to ask them how I categorize this expense. That's a useful thought. But sometimes the thoughts are useless. You're thinking, yeah, my neighbor is such a whatever dick or whatever, or you're having angry thoughts, or you're having confusing thoughts. The reason this happens in meditation more is because you start actually looking at your thoughts in our normal day-to-day life. We are so focused in the outer world, we don't look at ourselves and our thoughts, and we never realize how confusing and how nonsense most of our thinking is. So it's only when you sit down to meditate that you realize, oh my God, why am I having such silly, confusing, or stupid thoughts all the time? What's that? Many people panic and they think, I'm doing something wrong, and they stop meditation, or they ask around, what do I do? The thing is, you don't need to do anything. This is normal. Our mind that's what the mind is playing its game. That's what does it all the time. You don't notice it because you're so focused on the outer world. You do not see what's happening in your own head. And when you sit down to meditate, you see all this nonsense and you say, whoa. So the solution is to just look at the thoughts. No, don't try to identify with them. Look at them with the same way that you look at clouds floating in the sky. You wouldn't get angry, right, or irritated. It's just clouds, they're just going. Now I know this is hard in practice, especially if you're getting very angry thoughts like I used to. And then the solution is you might have to try something else. You might have to try like compassion, or loving forgiveness, or some other moving meditation like Tai Chi or yoga. You might have to try something else. You might have to take a break, and that's fine. It takes time. It's not an overnight process. So just work with it, and if it's getting too hard, try something else. Don't get stuck with one technique or one method. Try lots of different techniques, lots of different methods, lots of different teachings, and you will find 2 or 3 that you really like, and stick with those. Don't fight it. It's not worth fighting it. So yeah, find the way that works for you, and don't get stuck in the thinking mind. Remember that we, as the observers, are different from the mind. The mind is an instrument. It's a tool. It should work for us, and not we for. We shouldn't. We're not the slaves of the mind. We shouldn't let the mind control us or push us around. And this again, it's very easy for me to say, but you have to realize it in your own life that you are separate from your thinking. This is the whole definition of meditation, to realize that I am not my thoughts. I am not these thoughts running through my head. I am something behind it, something more powerful, something more, primeval, something more older than the thinking mind. And meditation is just one of the ways you can realize this. There are lots of other ways, lots of techniques. That's why I say keep trying, and keep trying different methods, and ultimately you'll find the one that works for you. And obviously it takes time, so stick with it for a little bit. Cheers.